Hey everyone, J-Rod Plays here. Just want to put a quick guide together for the new Conservation of Energy from Crota's End Hard Mode Challenge, the Master Challenge. And the reason why I'm updating my guide is just because of the small differences that it has from normal mode. If you wanted to see an actual full guide and you're new to the encounter, I'll link that in the description so that way you can see what the actual encounter looks like front to back on normal mode and you have an idea of how to do the encounter. If you actually use the strategy that I have from the first video, you'll kind of luck into the Conservation of Energy Challenge because that's how I was doing it anyways when I was actually making the guide for Challenge Crota the first day, the first 48 hours. However, in this guide, I'm going to be highlighting the differences and the ideas behind team composition and how to handle juggling the enlighten and the preserve so that you make sure that you don't have any mistakes going across. Obviously, main thing is to try to make sure you play your life. Have your three best players be in charge of juggling the chalice, with a fourth and fifth backup, of course. But there's always like one or two people that are slow in the back. You want to have your faster players moving ahead. And it's not good to have your people so far behind, but you want to make sure that you're doing this in a certain amount of time because of the way that the mechanics work at the challenge. You do have a set time limit between the preserve and the enlightens. And so the idea is you're going to start off at the first one, you're going to preserve, which is going to move you forward to the next set of pillars, and you have to preserve every so often to activate the next group of lanterns. And the preserve podium looks like this. And there'll be different locations on the ground that you can actually see where the preserve podium is going to spawn. It's got like a lot of little spikes in the ground, and you can tell if it's missing where it was supposed to be. The way that you'll be able to see it, of course, is there's a small orange ring glowing around the podium, and that's how you know it's there. What I tended to do was find the podium and put either a grenade over it or put a healing rift over it so it lights the podium up for the person who has it, who's coming along. And then just to make sure that everybody's clear on how the podium and the lanterns work, if you have enlightenment from passing the chalice, you can enlighten a lantern, which will extend your time. If you have the chalice, whether it's already ready to go or whether it's still charging, you can always dunk it into the podium, which will also extend your time. And so ideally, you want to make sure that you're getting to the podium quickly and you're waiting for your team to catch up if you have to. If you have people that are stragglers and always dying in the back, you want to wait for them to catch up. And then the next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be dunking the chalice into the podium, which will extend your time, have the next person in the rotation come pick it up, and you want to make sure that you're doing that in a spaced out order because of the drain of light debuff. Of course, you have the raid armor, and you want to use the raid armor to lower your drain of light debuff duration to help speed that up so that you don't have to really rely on that fourth or fifth person if they're not super reliable. You can do that. The idea is you're going to be preserving every time that you can, and you're going to be only doing one enlighten per set of lanterns. And so there's usually, I believe, 3 or 4 lanterns that are tied together with the preserve. And so the way you execute that is you go to your preserve, the person behind you picks it up, the person behind them is obviously going to follow the person with the chalice to make sure that they're on the spots to pick it up from them. Those 3 are going to try to move ahead quickly using either eager edge swords or geodetic HSMs or using strand, for example. You can do that as well. You can even use the navigator to create a strand point so you can double grapple for people, and that's another way some people have done, like Featherlight Tram, for example. And once you get to that next set, your whole goal is going to be to scout for the podium, and it's called a podium. You can call it a preserve, people call it a preserve, but on the bottom of the screen, of course, you'll see it says it's a podium. Whenever you preserve, it'll say you preserved at the podium. So you're looking for the podiums in the ground, you're looking for the spawn points. If you see an empty spawn point, move along. If you find the podium, you're going to call it out and say, hey, the podium's here. You're going to tell the person with the chalice to just hurry up and get to the podium, and don't try to pass it off, or don't try to enlighten it incorrectly. You want to make sure you're not holding your enlighten too long. If you hold your enlighten too long, that'll mess up your rotation, and you're going to have to depend on the people that are bringing up the rear. You're going to have to go back and pass them the chalice, and it's going to cut time down, and it's going to make people panic sometimes, and they'll enlighten the wrong thing and throw you off, because again, you can only enlighten once after each podium preserve. And so you're going to preserve, skip all the way to the next podium. If you can't find the podium, you're going to enlighten that one time. If you find the podium, you just dunk the podium and then move into the next set and looking for the next podium. And if you can't find the podium in time, you're going to enlighten that one time. And so you're going to keep juggling that way, pushing to the next set, pushing to the next set. And don't let teams tell you that you have to slow down and wait for everybody and all that. You don't have to. The reason why it's a problem for some people is, for whatever reason, people have trouble surviving with Thrall. which is not understandable. Like, you can just kill the thrall very easily as they're coming up on you. You can sword away from them. You can drop a grenade behind you. You should be running healing grenade if you're the one struggling. You can run well if you're struggling on a warlock. If you're on a titan, you can run solar. If you're on a hunter, you can run invis, or you can run solar as well. And so there's a lot of different ways to survive the thrall. The thrall are not a threat. The only thing that might bother you is the knights. If there's blistered knights that happen to get to you, they do hit kind of hard in Master, and so you want to make sure you have something arc to break their shields if you find that the knights are catching up to you. I didn't find it as a problem because, again, when you move quick, the knights aren't a problem. They don't have time to spawn. You're already on to the next set. And once you get all the way to the top, keep in mind that the plate is actually a safe spot. So you can actually go across and cut straight to the plate. If you're in the rear and you're slow and you're trying to catch up to your team and you want to be helpful, don't even try to get yourself killed by going over to one of the lanterns. Just go straight over to the plate and wait at the plate. And the plate's a safe area. You should start losing stacks over there, and you should be able to start to clear a path for your people that are coming from the last set of lanterns and the last preserve. And that last preserve might catch you, so if once you get to the top and you do your one enlighten, if you get a message at the bottom of the screen saying that everything's ready to go, and like it'll tell you you can go to the final area, you can just cut straight to the plate. If it doesn't come up, then you have to go all the way to the right side, and the right side will have a preserve over there. Then you can cut back to the plate. And once you get to the plate, don't forget, if you're the person carrying the chalice, don't try to hand off the chalice, just dunk it in the preserve, and you can always pick it back up again and get enlightened. There's no issue there. Once you've made it all the way to the plate and you do the preserve, you can then pick it back up, pass it around, get everybody to enlighten each other and enlighten the plate to speed it up. And if you have that trouble juggling, just have one or two people enlighten the plate and then dunk. Because once you reach the plate, that's where the only real difference in Master Mode comes in. Instead of having just the unstoppable ogres, you're going to have barrier knights that replace the blistered knights. So barrier knights are going to spawn from the right and kind of the left, and they'll move in on you. You want to take them out quickly as soon as they spawn, try to get them killed immediately. That way you can deal with the unstoppables, because the unstoppables are what's going to actually kill your team. The barrier knights are just a distraction. Once you've killed the knights and once you've killed the unstoppable ogres, your bridge is going to actually build quickly if you decide to accelerate the bridge. If not, just take your time and kill everything as it spawns. Once the bridge is built, don't freak out. Take your time. One at a time, go through the bridge. Keep an eye on the swinging spike pendulum so that you don't get knocked off. Try not to eager edge somebody else off. That way you get somebody safely all the way across. There can be an ogre that spawns behind the gate as well, so prepare for the ogre that spawns behind the gate if you didn't get one on the other side. Kill the ogre, move through to the end, and you're done. You've done the conservation of energy. The conservation of energy triumph is pretty much completed once you get everybody safe into the plate without accidentally doubling and lightening the lanterns. And so again, once you get to that point, the goal then is just to survive and get across the bridge, at least one person, within the time limit of somebody dying, if somebody did die, and get to the end so that it registers the encounter is complete, and you move on to the next one. So hopefully this guide is helpful to those who are new to the conservation of energy triumph, who are just trying to do it for the first time. Hopefully you guys get good rolls on your Adept weapons, because Bungie has just shut down the ability to go into the crafting table and put whatever roll you wanted on there, which was nice. Unfortunately, I missed that window by like about an hour when they shut it down. So thanks for watching to the end. I really appreciate everybody's support. Appreciate all my new subscribers, and I'll see you guys in the next guide.